You also recently interviewed Andrew Tate for the second time.
Yes.
14 million views in 1 month, which is absolutely astounding. I know for that podcast, extra amounts of research went into it. Can you walk us through maybe like the prior 3 days before that podcast?
Great question. So here's what we do. When we do big interviews, it is extra amount of research that we do. You're looking at topics, issues, questions, current events, but you're looking at top 3-5 angles. You can't be a regular person that's asking the same exact questions. Give me the keys to success, or give me the keys. So tell me what happened here. It has to be angles. If your angles aren't unique, no one's interested. People are interested in unique angles, right? When I get interviewed on different podcasts, I'm like, okay, here we go again. This is another question that's been asked a million times, right? When we did the podcast last time, a lot of clips took off for you guys because you guys did the right job asking questions to get content that maybe hadn't been heard before. That's what the audience wants to see, right? So when we got to Romania the night before, I don't know how many hours it was. I would say we sat there at a table for 6 hours to prep on what angles to take with the interview. And when we did the interview, we were all going on probably a couple hours of sleep. And it was done. We stayed with him till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. But yes, you're looking at angles, and I'm not only interviewing him. So I interviewed Andrew, and then right after us with Andrew, we went to Tristan without a break. So it's boom, boom. The interview, 7 hours of doing interviews, back to back to back. But yes, lots of preparation.
And what angle did you settle on for the Andrew Tate interview, and what other angles were you thinking about?
So BBC, to me, missed the mark with him when they came out trying to do a gotcha interview. They looked disrespectful. They look like clowns, to be honest with you, and they look like hypocrites, meaning you have a guy who is working for your organization who texted a minor and followed a minor on Twitter at 15 years old. The guy ends up becoming a intern for you. Then you end up hooking up with this 19-year-old kid, whatever age he was when he did. You're married for 27 years with 2 daughters. Then he tells the story of what happened with you. That's public. You step away. Some are saying, did you get together with this boy when he was underage, or what happened to it? The interview that's done with BBC with this guy, and they say, so you've had a rough week. How are you feeling? That's the opening question of a guy that followed another man on Twitter, a boy, 15 years old on Twitter, right? And what's the first question with Tate? Are you a rapist? See, when you do stuff like that, you lose credibility. This is why people don't trust mainstream media today. Back in the days, Ted Turner, when he started CNN, he said news was the talent. It was the news that you looked up to. Today, it's flipped. It's not the news. It's the anchor. It's the individual, right? You used to watch CNN, and they would give the news to you. You used to watch Walter Cronkite. We just got news that our president, very unfortunate news today, President John F. Kennedy has been, boom. It was just news being given to you, right? The news, what we wanted to get. So a lot of these guys have missed the mark, unfortunately. And fortunately for BBC, CNN, MSNBC, many of them, the market is changing. People want long form. They want to talk to human beings. They want to be asked questions that those guys are thinking about, not what you're thinking about. What are they thinking about? You could ask a question you're thinking about, but what do they want to? They don't have access to me, or they don't have access to Tate. They want those questions. So if you ask the questions that they're wondering, and people are going to sit there and say, that's exactly what I've been thinking about this entire time. How is it that BBC asked this? And then, so all these different angles you think about, and then you try to be fair to, like even yesterday's interview with Vivek here, the town hall that we did. Opening question was what? World Economic Forum. It's not a friendly question. It's a question. Hey, you're tied to World Economic Forum. What do you think about this? Hey, you're Indian. Is a part of what you're trying to do to go away from China, your relations with India? Is that kind of like trying to help your homeland? Are you vaccinated? Did you take the vaccine? You heard at the end what he said, right? It was kind of uncomfortable, right? Hey, how are you going to handle this? You're 37 years old. You're 38 years old. You've never been there before. How are you going to hire? People want to have those questions being asked. At the same time, why do you think you're doing so well? Why do you think as a young age, your Twitter account has grown the way that is and your competitors are not? Why do you think America's following your content so much? We need to kind of give a little bit of both sides.
Even the viewer question about religion, I was like, that was fantastic. That's
Heather, right? The lady that asked the question?
One of the last questions.
That was a very impressive question. I knew it knocked Vivek back.
What'd you think about his answer, though?
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great.
He's a great diplomat. He's a great speaker, of course.
But do you believe him with his answer? Do you actually believe him?
I do.
I do as well.
But here's the thing. I also, I tend to fall for stuff like this all of the time. Like anytime someone's like, "You can trust me," I'm honest. You know, like I'll be the one.
At least you're being honest about it.
No, it's true. It happens time and time again.
Yeah.
And so with him, I'm like, this is the guy. This is the one I trust.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could just be me being naive. You know,
But you know what it is as well? There's a part of it where he's here last night with us. He's there shaking hands. I said, where's your wife at? His wife was doing a surgery last night. She's a surgeon. While he's here, he's got 2 kids. The guy's worth a few $100 million, started a company, raised $2.2 billion. It's valued at $9 billion today. He doesn't need to do this. He lives an incredible life, but he's still working. His wife is still working. Let me get this straight. Your wife is still working while you're worth this much money. It's more than just money when you're doing something like that. So it's not like we're above you, we're better than you. There was a good feeling about it. Now we're going to see. It's going to be rough competing with everybody else, but it was interesting talking to him. Again, the point being, you got to ask all the questions that are the good questions as well as the tough questions, and then let the audience decide.